Good. I want to wrap this up in California today. Since we're recording it, I'll try to make it as formal as possible. But I'm really doing this for a brother that I met this morning named Robert. And I want Robert to see that every one of us have something. Every one of us have something we need to walk away from. And that's our identity. Whether that identity be prison, whether that identity be an affair, whether that identity be a common good old boy. It doesn't matter. As I mentioned this morning, I'm going to repeat it again, in Matthew 9:16 through 24, and someone came to him. You notice when he said someone, he didn't identify him as this wealthy-looking individual. He said when someone came to him. That could be anybody. Anybody. Because everybody is someone in this case. And he said, "Teacher, what good thing shall I do to obtain eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why are you asking me about good? What is good? There is only one who is good. But if you wish to enter life, keep the commandments." Then he said, "Which ones?" And I want you to notice that. Because when I put this box together, and the Father says, you need to walk away, my first comment is, from what specifically? This man, he said, keep the commandments. And he said, which ones? That's an interesting question. And Jesus said, he started going down the commands. You shall not, you shall not, you shall not murder, commit adultery, not steal, not bear false witness, honor your father and mother, you shall love your neighbors yourself. And the young man said to him, oh, all these things I've done. All these things I've kept. What am I still lacking? Jesus said to him, if you wish to be complete, and I want you to know, Jesus knew this man was not complete. Nobody listening in this audience, when we go there, we're complete. There's something in every individual that yearns for the deepest need. Without that need being met, without our spiritual identity being revealed, we are not complete. Now, we're complete spiritually, but we don't understand that. This box that I'm about, let me step out of the camera and get a pen. This box, what I'm going to do on camera, as we talked about earlier, this is what we realize is our understanding when we receive Christ. Jesus in me, two people. But the renewing of our minds is to an understanding that we are a new creation. What I want to do today is show you the eye of a needle that individual has to go through to understand this. Because Jesus said to him, if you wish to be complete, go and sell your possessions and give them to the poor. We think this is about money. But that was the identity that Jesus touched with this one individual. And you'll have treasure in heaven, and come and follow me. But when the young man heard this statement, he went away grieving, for he was one who owned much property. And Jesus then turned to his disciples, said, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, we talked a couple nights ago that eye of the needle was a gate in the city wall where the possessions of that camel had to be, not the camel, but was loaded, had to be unloaded. And the camel had to go through, on its knees, a gate that is no different than this right here. If you want to understand this, David calls this the knothole. We will be forced to walk away from what we know and walk toward the revelation. September 24th, 1956, a young man was born, male, white, by the name of Kurtis Luckinbill. Born to Donna Jean and Homer Don Luckinbill, Kansas City, Kansas. An identity began. I started with that. I grew up a son to my father. And my father, earliest memories, pushed me into sports. And I learned a lot in sports. High school quarterback, starting point guard at basketball, starting quarterback, salutatorian in high school. My father said to me, we're going to go practice every day. But son, if you drop the football when I throw it to you, we're going in the house. I learned at that moment that not only would sports be something a part of my life, but I believed I had to be perfect, that I had to be right, that I had to be good. If somebody corrected me, I thought at that moment, I learned you couldn't fail. That's what I heard as a young man. So that became baggage to me. Son, if you drop the football, I'm going in. We're done for the day. First pass, we're done. 20th pass, we're done. Every day, we're done. So I learned from a very young age that I needed to be right. Being right was very important to me. Being perfect was important to me. Being good was important to me. Whether it came through football or grades, I believed I had to be perfect. So I planned my life. No drugs, no alcohol, study hard, do it right. Be that good old boy that does it right, and it'll pay you back in life. So as I grew up in high school, I had my first love. We all have first loves. We all bring them with us, don't we? You can name them. It does something to your heart. Judy, John, Paul, Charles, Jonathan, Barbara, Deborah. We bring it with us. We bring that hurt with us. We bring the joy and the hurt with us. It goes in our box, our first love. Things didn't go well with that first love. I went to college, got engaged to her, went to Texas A&M. Anybody know Texas A&M? Texas A&M University. The Aggies, Southeast Conference. Don't win anything in the Southeast Conference because Alabama plays there. I went to Texas A&M. Father told me one day, we're getting a divorce. I was a freshman. One day I went home. I went to Texas A&M on a scholarship, academic scholarship, salutatorian. My life started to fall apart. I made a 4.0 my freshman year. Think about that. Made honor society. had a scholarship. My father called me home that summer and said, I'm getting a divorce. I'm going into bankruptcy. Turn over the keys to your car. You're giving up everything. I said, what? 17 years old when I went to college. He said, I'm leaving your mother. And I said to him these words, Father, you've asked me to do you to stay with Mom. And he said, no. And my heart broke. He went into bankruptcy. Lost everything. I turned over the keys to my car, took a bus back to college. My grades went from a 4.0 to a 2.8. I lost my scholarship. No money. Worked for $90 every 2 weeks. Got a student loan. My mother was starving at home. My relationship with my first love broke. I was devastated. Tore me up. I cried out to God and said, God, 911. I became a Christian. I became a Christian. Put it in the box. Life improved. Graduated from college. Graduated as a geologist. I'm a geologist by degree. That's a fossil of a shrimp. I'm going to leave it with you. But I got a degree in geology. I hated geology. I thought, who wants to walk across those mountains at 110 on a summer August day? Because that's what we did. But then I realized you can be a geologist and be in the oil business. So I was an oil geologist. Loved it. Excelled in it. Became very good. Met another girl. Got married. And I did it right. Christian girl. No sex before marriage. Did it right. God, I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to screw it up. 3 sons. Three sons. Jeremy, Jonathan, and Chris. 2 of those sons were hard. Hard. Drugs, crime, jail, prison, auto theft. Hard. Marriage didn't survive. Divorce. I did it right. But a new word was introduced to my box. The word I said I would never do. I had just happened to me what I told God I would never do to my sons. I would never do to my sons. When my father did this, I said, I will never do that to my sons. Divorce. My first failure. Life was getting to be, that was hard. Hard. So what did I do? I got on that horse again. You don't learn, do you? I said, well, I can get over that first one. Married again. Two stepsons and a daughter. Now I have 5 sons and a daughter. And I'm thinking, I'm going to make this work. I married a different kind of girl. Again, a Christian. If you're going to do it right. I picked her out, married her, 2 stepsons and a daughter. Well, let me tell you guys, if you've never had a daughter, you can throw away the manual if you've had 5 sons. Because when that 6th one's a daughter, you can throw away everything you learned on grown sons. How many of you had daughters? And sons? A daughter hits 13, it's like those gremlins, you don't feed them after midnight. Because when they hit 13 years old, I hate you. What? It's like, oh, where's deliverance when you need it? That's my daughter. Whew. Doctor came out and said, I got good news and bad news. Good news, you got a daughter. The bad news, you got a daughter. Jim, who runs the cameras back at the home fellowship, has twin daughters. He doesn't say anything. He's still in shock. That's post-traumatic shock is what he's still in, and they're full grown. Divorce. Another failure. I mean, pretty good at failure right about now. Done it all right. Christian. Huh. Let's go into some other things in the box. Don't hate me, please. But my parents grew me up to be a Republican. I voted for Jimmy Carter. That pretty much pushed me over to being a Republican. Identity. Political identity. Now, I see things like liberals, progressives, Republican. Oh, and not only that, I'm a conservative. Oh, I want to pick up a truck in Texas, I do. I'm a conservative white boy. From Texas A&M. Huh, yeah. Going out hog hunting after dinner. Taking my old blue. Well, I guess black lives matter. White ones don't. And I became an angry white male. Media. Hating them on the media. Look what they're doing to us. Angry white male. Put it in the box. I'm angry. What are you angry about? I don't know. I'm just mad. At who? I don't know. I just mad about every failure. That's my box now. I'm mad. Divorce. Just kids that just don't grow up right. I'm not perfect. Second divorce. I'm a failure. Well, I decided as a Christian, I was going to go. Now don't forget, all this time being a Christian, I was stuffing myself with things you learn about Jesus. Evidence that demands a verdict. Josh McDowell. How to defend your faith. Well, is there a rapture? Well, I don't know. Let's buy a book to find out. How about the baptism of the Holy Spirit? Don't know. This one will tell you. I want to be in a ministry. You got to go to 3 years of Bible college Here, learn this. I got more books, more beliefs, more wrong ideas from everybody who thought they could tell me something. There's got to be a book for it. How to raise angry children. Okay, right here. How to not be angry. Right here. There's a picture of that little girl. Picture of my oldest son. Put them in the box. I'm getting pretty messed up. I'm thinking I might need to have Jesus fix me up just a little bit. Little shout. Clean that man up. Fix him up. Make him better. An eraser. Nothing like confessing your sin and having God erase it all. You know what? It didn't get clean. That was my box. I grew up to be perfect. I grew up to be the one that didn't do drugs. The one that said yes sir, no ma'am. The one who made a 4.0 the freshman year in college. When who graduated the top quarter of the class. Married a Christian woman. I did it right. That's failure written all over me. How can you do everything right and still screw it up? I don't know. But I did. So I said, you know what? God, you got to just fix me up. And I said, duct tape fixes everything. And it still didn't help. It's like, it's got to fix it. He's made me a better person. Anger management. Sexual addiction management. Alcoholics Anonymous. Drugs Anonymous. Duct tape. I still didn't see it. In fact, I thought to myself, I met David. Oh, tell you what you put in your box when you meet David. You don't let that boy in. That boy will stomp all over you. Tell you, you can't. That's David. You put caution tape. Do not enter, David. Kennebrew. This is my box. He'll walk in there and stomp all over everything. He said, Kurtis, you can't take that with you. I said, you watch. You watch, David. I'm taking it all. He said, you can't. You got to walk away. You got to die to who you know so you live to what you want to be. Well, when my daughter walked out for that, it was failure. She left me a bracelet. Epic failure. That bracelet says, epic fail. Nothing like having your daughter rub it in. Well, I married Jenny. This time I let God pick her out. I said, Father, I did so well in the first two. Why don't you try one? Father said, I have. She's been waiting 25 years. Her husband died. She's been single 25 years. Said, I have one. I met Jenny. Jenny said, You can't bring that with you. You can't bring that into the marriage. She says, I don't want your ex-wives in our marriage. Well, I said, God, you do whatever you have to do to straighten this boy out. He said, thank you. Son, I'm taking your job away from you. You're unemployed. Oh, that BP oil spill that made you unemployed in the Gulf of Mexico? You're in bankruptcy now. My mother came to live with me because she was dying for pulmonary fibrosis. It's a disease that eats your lungs, turns them into cardboard, and you can't breathe. I was divorced. My mother, taking care of my mother. I remember when I went online and I said, I wanted to say, divorced, overweight, bankrupt, fat white man looking for date. I didn't. But Jenny said, I'm interested in you. I said, I don't know why. Because I'm a failure. I'm unemployed. I'm bankrupt. I'm taking care of a dying mother in my home. Jenny said, that's temporary. My mother died. A month later, my brother calls me up. He said, I have pulmonary fibrosis. I said, you do? I said, man, that's hard. Mom just died of that. He said, I know. Bankrupt, unemployed. A few years later, I'm coughing. Go to the doctor. He says, son, you're dying. You got pulmonary fibrosis. I said, I have what? He said, you have pulmonary fibrosis. Maybe you'll live 5 or 6 years. Maybe you'll live longer. It's not curable. It's obviously generic. I said, I can't have that. I just took care of my mother who's dying. Who died. I watched her suffocate. I can't have that. I got a mental picture in my mind of someone suffocating. I can't have that. He said, you do. I said, I don't. He goes, you do. Take these. It'll delay your death. I said, Father, that's not the life I wanted. I was just a 17-year-old boy in Leander, Texas, driving a blue 50-something pickup truck. And I pulled over and I said, God, I want my life to be yours. How did it end up like this? How did it end up so messed up? He says, son, it doesn't matter. That's not who you are. That's not who you are. I said, okay. He said, give it up. Go through the eye of the needle. And I said, okay, let's go. Let's go. Let's go through the eye of the needle. And I get this over here. And I said, okay. Father? He says, you can't take that with you. I said, well, what do you want me to give up? I'll give this up. And this. And that's a Bible, but it's not. I didn't give up Christianity. I'll give up. And I can't give up what I know. I've spent 40 years packing away my beliefs. I'll give you some of them. I'll give you that one. I'll give you that one. But I'm not giving this up. I'm not giving that up. Because, you see, we want to hang on to being a victim. We want to hang on to failure. We want to hang on to the good things, to the bad things. It's who we are. The pain. We can't give it up. We can't give up the hurt. It scarred us. It looks like the front of that box. I said, Father, okay, I'll give up. I'll give up these kids. I'll give up those. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. I know. I know. Son, you need to understand Philippians 3:8. What is more, I consider everything a loss because of the surpassing worth of knowing Christ, my Lord, for whose sake I have lost all things. But I've given you these. He says you can't pick and choose. Can Jenny go with me? No. That's your gate. Jenny has her own. You have your own. So for the last 2 years, I've been walking around this gate, looking at it, trying to figure out if I had a smaller box, if I could get it through. If I unloaded it a little bit more, okay, college. No, that was hard, I'm keeping it. I lost my job. I'm 63 years old. Maybe I won't get another one. I'll give up being a geologist in the oil industry. No, I may get a job again in the future. I'm hanging on to that. It's got to go through the hole with me. Stupid box. It's everything I am. The Father said to me, you can't go on if you don't go through it. And you've got to consider everything loss. Your children, your successes, your failures, everything that you think you're a victim of. You got to give it up. There's no answer. You can't take it out of your box because your box can't go through. How bad do you want to go through that? That's what you ask. How bad? See what the Father showed me. If you're not hungry, you won't eat. If you're not thirsty, you won't drink. If you're not in crisis, you won't hear. I was in crisis. My life failed. Bankruptcy. IRS was coming at me for $150,000. No job. Dying. And I said, Father, I'll do anything. He said, you go through there and you'll realize that. He said, but you got to count everything. What about everything, son? Do you not know? Do you not understand? Everything loss. I can go through that because I fit now. Because I'm going through with nothing. I was And you watch. I go through here, and I am not that person anymore. Everything in that box, every failure, every success, everything I hated, everything I loved, is not who I am. Now this part is just for you. Go ahead and turn it off, Dave.